ಇವತ್ತು 20
ಇವತ್ತು 1.12
5 ಅಲ್ಲ?
5 5
ಓಕೆ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವಾಯ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವಾಯ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವಾಯ. ನಾರಾಯಣಂ ನಮಸ್ಕೃತ್ಯಂ ನರಂ ಚೈವ ನರೋತ್ತಮಂ ದೇವಿಂ ಸರಸ್ವತಿಂ ವ್ಯಾಸಂ ತತೋ ಜಯಮುದಿರೆ. ನಷ್ಟಪ್ರಾಯೇಷು ಭದ್ರೇಷು ನಿತ್ಯಂ ಭಾಗವತ ಸೇವಯ ಭಗವತೆ ಉತ್ತಮ ಶ್ಲೋಕೆ ಭಕ್ತಿರ್ಭವತಿ ನೈಷ್ಟಕಿ. ಮೂಕಂ ಕರೋತಿ ವಾಚಾಲಂ ಪಂಗುಂ ಲಂಘಯತೆ ಗಿರಿಂ. ಯತ್ಕೃಪಾತಮಹಂ ವಂದೇ ಶ್ರೀಗುರುದೀನತಾರಿಣಂ ಚೈತನ್ಯಮೀಶ್ವರಂ. ಓಂ ಅಜ್ಞಾನತಿಮಿರಂಧಸ್ಯ ಜ್ಞಾನಾಂಜನಶಲಾಕಯ ಚಕ್ಷುರುನ್ಮಿಲಿತಂ ಯೇನ ತಸ್ಮೈ ಶ್ರೀಗುರುವೇ ನಮಃ. ನಮೋ ಓಂ ವಿಷ್ಣುಪಾದಾಯ ಕೃಷ್ಣಪ್ರಸ್ಥಾಯ ಭೂತಲೆ ಶ್ರೀಮತೆ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೇದಾಂತ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಿತಿ ನಾಮಿನೇ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರಸ್ವತೆ ದೇವೆ ಗೌರವಾಣಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರಿಣಿ ನಿರ್ವಿಶೇಷ ಶೂನ್ಯವಾದಿ ಪಾಶ್ಚಾತ್ಯ ದೇಶತಾರಿಣಿ. ಜಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಪ್ರಭು ನಿತ್ಯಾನಂದ ಶ್ರೀ ಅದ್ವೈತ ಗದಾಧಾರ ಶಿವಾಸಾದಿ ಗೌರ ಭಕ್ತ ವೃಂದ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ 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 ಹರೇ ಹರೇ. ಹರೇ ರಾಮ 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 ಹರೇ ಹರೇ. Hare Krishna. Om Tassat. Once again, welcome all for our Bhagavatam study, Monday to Thursday. Today, discussing from first canto, chapter 13, verse 5. Chapter entitled Dhritarashtra Leaves Home. So we'll continue reading. Can somebody read, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Pranam Prabhuji.
ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ, ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿನಾನಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅದೇನ. ಪ್ರತಿ ಉಜ್ಜಗಂ
ಪ್ರತಿ ಉಜ್ಜಹಂ ಪ್ರಹಾರ್ಸೇನ
ಪ್ರಣಾಮ್
ತನ್ವಾ
ಇವ
ಗತಂ ಅಭಿಸಂಗಮ್ಯ ವಿಧಿವತ್
ಪರಿಸ್ವಂಗ
ಅಭಿವಾದನೈ.
Okay, translation
and purpose by Srila Prabhupada. His divine Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: with great delight they all approached him as if life had turned to their bodies. They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces. Purport: in the absence of consciousness, the limbs of the body remain inactive. But when consciousness returns, the limbs and senses becomes active, and existence itself becomes delightful. Vidura was so dear to the members of Kaurava family that his long absence from the palace was comparable to inactivity. All of them were feeling acute separation from Vidura, and therefore his return to the palace was joyful for all.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the few points here. One, the devotee association. How all the devotees, including the great like Kripacharya and those great personalities, they were missing association of Vidura, because Vidura is one of the greatest devotee. Sadhu Sangha, lava matra sadhu Sangha, sarva siddhi hai. So that's what Chaitanya Charitamrita says. The association of the sadhu, pure devotees, so important. So all the people in the palace, they were eagerly waiting to see the Vidura. And as soon as he comes, it's like a conscious comeback. The Prabhupada talks about how they were missing Vidura. And also, it's not only they are missing, Vidura also missing. So devotees always should hanker to take association of devotees, take blessings of devotees, and mingle with the devotees, because devotees is only can help other devotees. Devotees only can give bhakti. Prabhupada says bhakti can come from bhakta. Bhakti cannot come from matter. The matter cannot give any bhakti. Only devotee or even non-devotee cannot give. Generally given, analogy that from the mango, we can get only mango juice. We cannot get lime juice, because what I have, I can only give. The bhakti can be given by the pure bhakta. So whenever we find pure bhaktas, we should go and take association. Again, what is the take association? Doesn't mean that go and stand next to him, take a selfie. That is not the association. Association means hear him from, hear and hear his instructions and follow his instructions. That is association. Not that just sit next to him or no. Hearing, continuously hearing from such a wonderful devotees. That is what association is at. As a practicing devotees, is our responsibility. The progress in bhakti depends on how much we are hankering to take association with devotees. Because, and at the same time, we should be very careful not to offend the devotees. This is very, very dangerous. And offending a devotee means you're finished. Like Prabhupada gives example, like, for a nice grown-up garden, if a mad elephant comes, it destroys everything. Similarly, our Bhakti Latha Bija, we are growing daily, hearing Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name, doing service. Our Bhakti Latha Bija in the heart is slowly growing. Bhakti Latha, the creeper is growing up. But when I offend a devotee, the completely creeper will be destroyed. So I should be very, very careful not to offend a devotee. At the same time, I take association devotees, because the association devotees will help me to progress in bhakti. And it's only devotee who can recommend for me higher process in bhakti. So I should be very careful to not to offend, at the same time take association devotees. And also Prabhupada talks about the consciousness. The body without consciousness, without soul, has no meaning. It's a dead. It's like when devotees in the palace, they were feeling like they were dead. But when Vidura came, they were got consciousness. So you would have seen, many of would have experienced, when the great personalities come to a temple, or like Guru Maharaj or other great personalities comes, the whole atmosphere becomes energized, because their presence itself make so much difference. Whenever a sannyasi comes, we can experience the difference in the temple. Because they have full of energy, full of spiritual energy. They emanate that spiritual energy, and those who are going close by, they get influenced by the spiritual energy, and we also get charged like electricity. When we go near to the bulb, it's a heat generates, the heat influences. Similarly, the advanced devotees, they emanate spiritual energy so that everybody can take benefit of it. So at the same time, those who don't take advantage of that is like a dead body. They are like the body without soul, without consciousness. That's why, of course, basic philosophy, you all know that I'm not this body, I'm the spirit, soul, all this, you know that. But as a practicing devotees, we should always hanker to get association devotees and serve them nicely, so that they are pleased. When the devotees are pleased, my life, my spiritual life becomes advanced. Okay, we'll read the next one. Who is good in
Hare
it?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please.
6 and 7 is allotted to me.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 6. Mumusu prema pashpa ogam viraha outkanteya kadara kadaraha Raja Yudhishthira Maharaj.
I mean, translate, not read the sloka only, but in the synonyms, we can pick that, so that you'll be able to read that. Rajatam Aryayam Chakre Krita Asana Parigraham.
Parigraham.
I mean, and what I'm trying to say, the synonyms will help us to break the word to read nicely. So we can practice
Appropriate.
that way. Thank you, bro. No problem.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: due to anxieties and long separation, they all cried out of affection. King Yudhishthira then arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception. Shall I read next sloka?
Yeah, please.
Text is 7. Tam Bhuktavandam Vishrantam Asinam Sugam Asane Prasrayavanato Raja Praha Desham Srunvadam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: after Vidura ate sumptuously and took sufficient rest, he was comfortably seated. Then the king began to speak to him, and all who were present there listened. Purport: King Yudhishthira was expert in reception also, even in the case of his family members. Vidura was well received by all the family members by exchange of embraces and obeisances. After that, bathing and arrangements for a sumptuous dinner were made, and then he was given sufficient rest. After finishing his rest, he was offered a comfortable place to sit. And then the king began to talk about all happenings, both family and otherwise. That is the proper way to relieve a beloved friend or even an enemy. According to Indian moral codes, even an enemy received at home should be so well received that he will not feel any fearful situation. An enemy is always afraid of his enemy, but this should not be so when he is received at home by his enemy. This means that a person, when received at home, should be treated as a relative. So what to speak of a family member like Vidura, who was a well-wisher for all the members of the family. Thus, Yudhishthira Maharaja began to speak in the presence of all other members. Hare Krishna.
Here, very good point as a practicing devotees, how we should receive a guest. Of course, the purport Srila Prabhupada says, forget guest, forget sannyasis, even the enemy, how we should receive them. So now we may not receive enemies in such a way, but at least the guest or any devotee coming to our house or center or temple, we should receive them like that because they should feel comfortable. When anyone comes to any temple or center, they are Krishna's guest. They are not our guest. In case of Prabhupada case, many examples are there. How Prabhupada was treating especially the new people. They make them so comfortable. There was one example, I don't know, maybe Australia or New Zealand. Prabhupada was in the one of the temple. One guest came. He was sitting sometime and he was about to go. Then immediately Prabhupada called one of the brahmachari and asked him, give some prasad. That brahmachari went to the kitchen and came back and told Prabhupada, the offering going on. So prasad is not ready. And that guest was about to leave. Prabhupada told that guest to stop. Then Prabhupada told brahmachari, you open the altar and give prasad to this person. The point is that, 1 second. Who is... So Prabhupada told that you open the altar and give prasad. Means serving Krishna is not important when compared to serving Vaishnavas, a new person. Because serving new Vaishnavas so important because he's a guest of Krishna. So similarly here, when Vidura came, how Yudhishthira Maharaj served him so nicely. So again, whenever anybody comes, first and foremost, of course, give some water. give them kind of hand wash, leg wash, and give them the feast or possible best prasadam, and they can take rest. After that, when they sufficiently taken rest, then glorify him and start talking about it. And not that as soon as they come, start putting questions, start asking, no. So this is the process we should follow, as of course Prabhupada says, as this is a Sanatana Dharma, the moral code. So in Nectar Devotion also, Rupa Goswami says there are 6 ways of exchanging love. The first point he says that the giving gift and receiving the gift. Giving gift means we should go and visit the guest, visit our friends, our relatives, and give gift. Especially the practicing devotees, we should follow that. We should visit the other devotees' house at least maybe once in a month. Some festivals, and their birthdays, anniversaries. Nowadays, so happened that we are so mechanical. Even the message, we just put cut and paste. We don't even call them. So actually, not even calling, we should visit them and wish them. So there is some festival or some anniversary, birthdays. So wish them, give them gift. Gift can be very simple. I mean, you don't have to elaborate spend. Even a small piece of sweet or prasad is enough. But what is important to your love? And similarly, when your house somebody comes, receive them like that. The second thing is that give them prasad and receive them prasad. First, give gift, receive gift. Second, give prasadam and take honor prasadam. So that means we should invite other guests, other devotees in your house and do some kirtan, offer prasadam. This is the most important building relationship. We should invite, all of us should do that. Regularly invite other devotees to your house. Maybe if you're not possible to invite everybody, at least one family, 2 families in a frequency. This is the way to build a relationship. And when others are inviting, go to their house, honor prasadam. And the third is that open up your heart in front of somebody, and hear from them. I mean, hear from somebody else also possible. Means basically share your thoughts to somebody and hear from somebody. So point is that we should have somebody with whom you have confidently able to, vent out all your emotions or all your problems, so that your heart becomes lighter. And also that person maybe able to give you right solution. Of course, we should be very careful here, because we should be very careful selecting that person, because that person, after hearing from, if you makes kind of publicity of that, it will be shame. So we should be very careful. If there's sharing any secret, we should not do that. We should very confidently discuss only the matters. And if you are so confident that person is kind of integrity is so good, then yes. Similarly, hear from others. When you hear also, always maintain integrity, maintain secrecy of the information what the person is sharing, because he's sharing with the confidence, faith that you will not spread it across. So, but you will give them a solution, possible, whatever spiritual solution. So this is how the relationship can be built. This is how our the congregation can grow. This is how the real devotee care happens. Devotee care doesn't mean that just give a lecture. That's not a devotee care. Devotee care is this kind of a 6 exchanges, Srila Rupa Goswami say. And this is what Srila Prabhupada also wanted. And at least call somebody at least once a week, one person per day. We can call at least 7 days, 7 person. We don't know. The devotee may be going through some difficulties. So talk to them, find out if at all possible to help. Otherwise, at least we can pray. That's the important or the best thing we can do. We can all pray. So this habit we should all develop. This is how here, Prabhupada mentions that how a guest should be received, how we should treat other devotees. Prabhupada goes to the extent of even to the enemy. Enemy should feel comfortable when you come to your house. This is our culture. This is how, of course, here how the somebody is embraced, somebody pay obeisance. So the equals, they embrace, and seniors, we take blessings, and juniors, we give blessings. So this is how the process. When Lord Krishna came also, he took blessings of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He embraced Arjuna and Bhima because they are of equal age, and he gave blessings to Nakula and Sahadev. So this is the etiquette he follows. Similarly, we have to do that. So finally, Prabhupada says here that thus Yudhishthira Maharaj began to speak in the presence of all other members. This is how, after doing all those things, after Vidura sufficiently rested, sufficiently had his prasadam, and then he starts speaking. So this is how our culture should be developed. Okay, we'll read one more sloka. Yeah, somebody can read. Anybody?
I did not allocate, Prabhuji, because somebody can read.
I will read, Prabhuji.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Mataji. Text is-
Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 8. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yudhishthira uvacha api smrata no yusmat paksha chaya sameditan vipadganat visa agni yader mojita yats matruka. Translation. Maharaja Yudhishthira said, "My uncle, do you remember how you always protected us, along with our mother, from all sorts of calamities? Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poisoning and arson." Purport. Due to Pandu's death at an early age, his minor children and widow were the object of special care by all the elderly members of the family, especially Bhishma Deva and Mahatma Vidura. Vidura was more or less partial to the Pandavas due to their political position. Although Dhritarashtra was equally careful for the minor children of Maharaja Pandu, he was one of the intriguing parties who wanted to wash away the descendants of Pandu and replace them by raising his own sons to become the rulers of the kingdom. Mahatma Vidura could follow this intrigue of Dhritarashtra and company, and therefore, even though he was a faithful servitor of his eldest brother, Dhritarashtra, he did not like his political ambition for the sake of his own sons. He was therefore very careful about the protection of the Pandavas and their widow mother. Thus, he was, so to speak, partial to the Pandavas, preferring them to the sons of Dhritarashtra. Also, both of them were equally affectionate in his ordinary eyes. He was equally affectionate to both the camps of nephews, in the sense that he always chastised Duryodhana for his intriguing policy against his cousins. He always criticized his elder brother for his policy of encouragement to his sons, and at the same time he was always alert in giving special protection to the Pandavas. All these different activities of Vidura within the palace politics made him well known as partial to the Pandavas. Maharaja Yudhishthira has referred to the past history of Vidura before his going away from home for a prolonged pilgrim's journey. Maharaja Yudhishthira reminded him that he was equally kind and partial to his grown-up nephews, even after the Battle of Kurukshetra, a great family disaster. Before the Battle of Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra's policy was peaceful annihilation of his nephews, and therefore he ordered Purochana to build a house at Varanavata, and when the building was finished, Dhritarashtra desired that his brother's family live there for some time. When the Pandavas were going there in the presence of all the members of the royal family, Vidura tactfully gave instructions to the Pandavas about the future plan of Dhritarashtra. This is specifically described in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 114. He indirectly hinted a weapon not made of steel or any other material element
can be more than sharp to kill an enemy, and he who knows this is never killed. That is to say, he hinted that the party of the Pandavas was being sent to Varnavata to be killed, and thus he warned Yudhishthira to be very careful in their new residential palace. He also gave indications of fire and said that fire cannot extinguish the soul but can annihilate the material body. But one who protects the soul can live. Kunti could not follow such indirect conversations between Maharaja Yudhishthira and Vidura, and thus, when she inquired from her son about the purport of the conversation, Yudhishthira replied that from the talks of Vidura, it was understood that there was a hint of fire in the house where they were proceeding. Later on, Vidura came in disguise to the Pandavas and informed them that the housekeeper was going to set fire to the house on the 14th night of the waning moon. It was an intrigue of Dhritarashtra that the Pandavas might die altogether with their mother. And by his warning, the Pandavas escaped through a tunnel underneath the earth, so that their escape was also unknown to Dhritarashtra, so much so that after setting the fire, the Kauravas were so certain of the death of the Pandavas that Dhritarashtra performed the last rites of death with great cheerfulness. And during the mourning period, all the members of the palace became overwhelmed with lamentation, but Vidura did not become so because of his knowledge that the Pandavas were alive somewhere. There are many such instances of calamities, and in each of them, Vidura gave protection to the Pandavas on one hand, and on the other, he tried to restrain his brother Dhritarashtra from such intriguing policies. Therefore, he was always partial to the Pandavas, just as a bird protects its eggs by its wing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj reminding Vidura that how he was helpful, he was protecting, and he's saying a partial. Actually, the same thing applies to Lord also. Lord is equal to everybody. Lord says, I envy no one. I am not partial to any. But for my devotees, he says, I will be with them. I'll take care of them. The same thing. Vidura was actually equal to the Kauravas and Pandavas. But because the Tarashtra and Duryodhana and team, they were so envious of Pandavas, the Yudhishthira and brothers, Vidura was so partial or so specific to protect them, because he knew the Duryodhana and the Tarashtra, they are birds of the same feather. Like the Tarashtra always wanted the Pandavas to be killed, and he makes such a wonderful arrangement that he makes a house of lakes and lacks, not lakes, lac, so mena, and he wanted Pandavas to be there and burn them inside. But Vidura got to know, and he gave a very nice indirect message to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira understood. Yudhishthira was very intelligent. He understood the signal. The first signal he gave that the death can come anytime, so be prepared. Second, he gave the fire, because the fire can burn the body but not the soul. That's the message he gave. And also, I think he gave another message, how a rat gets into the hole and escapes. So he gave a message that there is a tunnel built under that to escape also. That also message gave. So finally, Bhima carried all kind of Pandava brothers and Mother Kunti and escaped from them. So see the mood of Dhritarashtra. So when the house is burnt, Dhritarashtra was actually enjoying or celebrating. He's performed the last rite and was celebrating. But Vidura knew exactly that they are not killed. So this is the point. So here the political ambitions of the Dhritarashtra and team, or Duryodhana, that is the most important point, where Yudhira was not at all happy. So the reason for Vidura to leave the palace also the same. When continuously this happening, Vidura was actually literally chastising his own brother. No, you give up your misery things. You give your rightful heirs to the Pandavas. And to the extent he said that you are, taking care of, or you are keeping this, kind of the Yodhana, who is like a poison. You better cut him off, throw him out. That's what exactly, Vidura said. But when he heard this, Duryodhana was so furious. Duryodhana actually ordered soldiers to throw Vidura out. That's the time Vidura leaves his, weapons there, and with the just one dress, he leaves. So this is what happens. But again, as a practiced devotees, we should be careful that we should always take care of other devotees. And we also should know that Lord definitely protect us. Lord, if you are, serving devotees, and we are doing our devotion service, Lord definitely protect. Lord also says, Paritrana sadhuna vinashya duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavam yuge. For protect his devotees, Lord do whatever required. So whenever we do any devotion service, Lord will never leave us in difficulties. Lord always, protect his devotees. So with this, I'll stop here. Devotees can share your thoughts. Only request to devotees that your realization can share. Don't repeat the same point. If one devotee said one thing, try to don't repeat, but share your own realization or what lessons you learned, because that will help us to each one to progress. Or if I miss some points, if I made some mistakes, please correct. That's also will help. Please go ahead. Sumit Prabhu, want to add anything? Please.
Yeah, bro. So yeah, in these all verses, like how Vidura was like he has very intimate relationship with the Pandavas and Kauravas as well. So that is like when he came, how they welcomed him, culture, how the guest should like the guest or anybody who's coming after a long time home, how he should be treated, that all things were etiquettes and all those things were shown very wonderfully. Like first of all, he should be welcomed, embraced, and then he should be given sufficient time for a bath and then have some prasadam. Then the talks and everything else, inquiries can be done once he has proper rest and everything. And after that, like how Vidura was very much concerned about both Pandavas and the Kauravas as well. Like he's always giving good advice to Dhritarashtra also. Though Dhritarashtra and the Duryodhana were not actually liking his advices because they are thinking he's speaking against us or in the favor of the Pandavas. But he was always talking in favor of for the good of both the Pandavas and Kauravas. So he was like he always protected the Pandavas even at the time of this
Burning up
was
house.
Lakshagra.
Yeah.
That time also he actually saved them by giving them in advance warning. So that's how Vidura was, and he was like yesterday, day before yesterday we read that he was the like incarnation of Yamaraj and how he actually got the curse. So he's like Yamaraj is one of the Mahajans, so he knows the dharma and how everything should be done. He is like a very great personality in the Mahabharata time, and he's actually equally not eligible. I say like because he was born from maid servant, he was not eligible, but he was qualified enough to be a king also. But because obviously he was born from a maid servant, that they didn't make him the king even after Pandu died. They given the kingdom to Dhritarashtra. So, but he always like wanted to do the welfare of his brothers and the whole Kuru dynasty. Yeah, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu. Umar Shankar Prabhu. Are you there? Okay. Sridevi Mataji. We'll start from other side. Last.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Just one point is, Prabhupada here explains how a guest should be treated. That already Prabhu covered. Even if an enemy comes to the house, you have to treat him well. I mean, without the enemy should not feed fear in that house. That way, you have to take care of the enemy also. How we take care of guests, the enemy also should be treated like that. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Shruti Mataji. Anything? Mariappan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Devotees association, importance of devotees association is highlighted in text 5, and how the association helps us to progress in devotion is also displayed. I have to be very careful with the devotees association, not to offend any devotees. I must be very careful in not to offend any devotees. And the consciousness is rejuvenated in the presence of devotee, like electricity illuminating the bulb. My consciousness is rejuvenated, and always I must serve the devotees nicely. And all guests, 6 and 7, all guests in temple are to be treated Supreme Lord's guest. I must always treat the guests in a temple as Supreme Lord's guests. And serving Vaishnavas is always prioritized, and make guests comfortable and settle down on arrival. Whenever there is opportunity, visit the devotees and Vaishnavas with gift and prasadam. Whenever others invite, accept their invitation and attend and reciprocate. And the congregation should go this way. And Acharya Prabhupada recommends to treat enemies also par with guests, any guests. And Vidura is impartial with Pandavas and Kauravas. After realizing the conspiracy of Kauravas to kill Pandavas, Vidura signaled suitably and safeguarded Pandavas. He always supported Dharma. He is almost like all qualities are reflected from Lord, Supreme Lord, and that's what I have understood. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Lakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We should always serve the devotees, Prabhuji. And then continuous hearing of Bhagavatam will help us to be in Bhakti Marga, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Archana Mataji. Anything? Asha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji. ಹೇಗೆ ಊಟ ಆಯ್ತಾ?
ಹೌದು.
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ? ಏನ್ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ? ರೈಸಾ?
Rice.
ಹೌದಾ?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry.
No problem.
It's my takeaway. I learned the importance of association of devotees. I should always be hankering in association with the bhakta, so that it will help us to progress in our bhakti. Bhakti can come only from a pure devotee or a bhakta, and we should never offend the devotees. And the other thing which you have explained is very, very inspiring, because we always know that, at least for me, I know how to receive my guests and entertain them. But it's a new thing for me, that is how we should entertain the enemies also. Because usually I don't have any enemies, but even if I don't like someone for some reason, when they come, at least I am not treating them same as my guests, because I always know how to treat the guests. because all the things which you have told, we always do that. And we also have this habit of calling them inside, offering them towel and then making them sit and all that. But if someone whom I don't like, if they come, I'm not treating them. And it happened with me, and I have uh, pondered over that, Prabhuji. But today it is enlightened me when you spoke about that how I have to treat the people whom I don't like as well.
This Prabhupada says in the purport.
Yes. So that was a very, very inspiring thing. And I think so. I'm still not there. I have to follow that.
Okay. Now I will, okay. So we'll officially stop the class here.